Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Ain't Done Yet podcast. We are very excited for our guest today, a good buddy of mine, a great, great man here in the Las Vegas community, from Broadway stages to boxing rings to NHL arenas to nonprofit stages and now the WWE. And now sitting right next to us at the Ain't Done Yet podcast, I am excited to introduce Mark Shunock.
Let's go.
What's up, man?
Thanks for having me, guys.
How are you? Thanks for being here. We much appreciate it, man.
Yes.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here, man. You are a busy, busy gentleman.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've just recently learned when people say, hey, I'm busy. I've been really busy lately. I'm like, that's how I am now. But you are extremely busy.
Take it to another level. How many continents you've been on in the last 2 months?
Listen, I'm grateful. I look at it as opportunities, right? And time is all we're given. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit today, but time management, surrounding yourself with great people, team, amazing partner at home. My wife is a rock star. Nothing in this life is done alone, as you guys know. And,
without a doubt.
Listen, you get to that point in life where I'm just so grateful for the opportunities. And now I'm in a place where I just make sure the opportunities that are presented and that I say yes to, we talked about this before we came on air. It's how much time can we commit? And then I make sure that if I say yes, just like yourself, just like you, we don't take a gig. We don't say yes to a job unless we can give 100% of who we are to that position, to that role. And, if I can't give you 100%, it's a no. Yeah. So it's a cool thing, man. This thing we call life in Vegas, and Vegas has been very good to me. And in return, I feel obligated to give back to Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great strategy. It's a great way to look at life, man. You know, give 110% all the time, and you won't ever fail anybody. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, "Oh man, I feel like I kind of screwed shit up, left and right here and there." I'm like, listen, man, I've had failed businesses, for the past 20 years. Everything hasn't been a success, right? But I know that I put everything that I had into each one of those businesses. So for me, it was a success. Yeah. It might not have been a success in front of the public, but for me, full of success. And I learned so many things, so many more things I think I learned from my failures than I do my successes,
So true. So Mark, a lot of people may recognize you from, being the voice of the Golden Knights, this amazing team that's come to our town. But you didn't just all of a sudden pop up in the T-Mobile Arena. There was a couple other steps you had to take to get there, right? You mind just giving us a quick overview of, where you started and where you were and then how you got to this beautiful desert?
For sure. So I grew up in a small town, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which is 5 hours north of Detroit, Michigan, right on Lake Superior. And just like every young Canadian, you want to raise the Stanley Cup, you want to play pro hockey. And that was my journey, pretty much my entire childhood into young adult life. I was pursuing a professional hockey career. Made it as far as a third string goaltender in the Canadian Hockey League.
Were you born in the first 3 months of the year?
4 April.
Okay, so
right
you
on
were
the cusp
closer
too,
then.
April 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah, I was almost a March
Happy
baby.
belated birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Just last week.
Yes.
Day after your brother, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Your brother's April Fool's?
Yeah.
Sick. I might have been an April Fool's. Who knows? They probably just kept me in there a day just to say, hey, let's get him on the 2nd. But just like every other Canadian, man, I wanted to play pro hockey. And, I had the talent. I was a goaltender, Canadian Hockey League, and I didn't have the maturity at that time. When I look back on it, you're 16, 17 years old. That league treats you very much like a professional player. It's a 70 game season, just like the pros. You're on the road all the time. You're living in a billet's house. You're not living at home. You're away from home. And it just wasn't in the cards. And I had to make a decision. Do I want to go to Europe to continue play in like some ECHL league or am I going to do something else? And finished school, and I ended up moving to New York City as a 19-year-old and said, you know what, pro hockey didn't work out. I'm going to take on a different more challenging career path and try to be an actor.
Oh.
And so I moved to New York City and just threw myself at whoever would listen, right? Like I took
Were
class.
you trying for Broadway?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was a theatrically trained performer. I went to a conservatory called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And again, because of where I grew up, I didn't really know about Juilliard or NYU or Tisch or Carnegie Mellon or Yale, these American programs as a Northern Ontario kid. Didn't really know about them, right? So I just went cold to New York, got off a bus essentially and tried to figure it out. Got into this.
Love that, man. I never had the guts to do that. I wanted to go to LA and do that. I never had the guts,
give my
man.
parents
So
a lot
good
of
for you.
props. I was the youngest of 5 and, I call myself the black sheep, but not black sheep anymore. We're all older. And, at that time for my parents to essentially allow me to do that and give me the approval to do it is pretty remarkable. Just coming from, not a conservative family, but just that traditional, everybody sits at the dinner table together on 5 o'clock, dad's home from work and we talk about our day and then we move on with things. But as I got through high school, I was essentially an only child because everybody, my older siblings had all moved on to marriage and
What's the
careers.
What's the age separation there?
Well, I'm in my late 40s now, and my brother above me is 54, so six years.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a wide gap.
Yeah,
when you're young.
I might have been an oops. Sorry, Ma.
Yeah.
No idea. But I moved to New York, and then the program that I got into, there was 150 of us in our first year in the program. You have to be invited back to the second year. It was now down to 38. And then our third and final year, which was like a company year where you're just putting on shows for the industry, there was 12 of us. So I was lucky that I made it all the way through the program. And then from there, it's just pounding the pavement, right? Chasing a dream. Got really great at subletting my apartment in New York City to go and take theater gigs anywhere they would have me. The big one was The Lion King. That was the first big opportunity. I was able to play Timon and sing Hakuna Matata 8 shows a week in The Lion King.
Are you a singer?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
It's been
Whatever
a minute.
you need me to be.
But
right?
that's what brought me to Vegas. So
Okay.
Transitioning on how I got here, a Broadway musical, Rock of Ages, came to Vegas 13 years ago. And they called and said, hey, you want to open Rock of Ages at the Venetian? I was like, yeah, I'll do 6 months. I'll do a year.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am 13 and a half years later because of a big Broadway musical. I put on a mullet every night and sang some of the most iconic 80s hits.
Love it.
In front of drunk, awesome crowds every night. And my wife and I fell in love with the community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of how Monday's Dark was born. We'll get into that, I'm assuming. And cold called the Golden Knights office one night. It was pre the Golden Knights. I'm in my dressing room waiting to do a show. Bill Foley goes on the news and says, hey, I want to bring a pro hockey team to Vegas. The next day, I literally cold called his office and said, I'm an entertainer on the Strip. My father is a majority owner of a Canadian Hockey League franchise. I played the game. How can I help? Rest is history.
That's awesome. How long did it take? You got to go, walk us through that pattern. Was it an interview process? Did you have to,
The first involvement was with the campaign Vegas Wants Hockey. So before they even awarded a franchise to the ownership, and we know the Golden Knights is what they are today, it was a campaign. Vegas Wants Hockey, being spearheaded by Bill Foley, Fidelity Financial. And there was a campaign of about 50, 60 individuals. And our job was simple. I'm going to call you and I say, I need $1,000. And you're going to be like, for what? Season ticket. What team? Don't worry, it doesn't exist, but it's refundable. That was our job.
Yeah.
And we sold 14,000 season ticket deposits. Bill was granted a franchise because we had T-Mobile being built. He had a fan base and he clearly had the capital to write the initiation check. I think it was $500 million. And then they picked a name, they hired a front office, and away they went.
Yeah.
And I thought at that point, my journey with the team was done. I helped sell some season tickets and I bought season tickets myself. I'm a fan. And then I got a call when they hired a front office and they said, hey, you're creative. Come on in and meet with us. And that was it. I met a gentleman by the name of Johnny Greco, who was the vice president of entertainment, first one for the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey man, you want to audition to be one of our hosts? I grabbed a microphone and told people to get up and get loud. And that's it. Been with the team ever since day one.
That's awesome. I mean, that's how I know you.
Yeah. And that's cool, right? A lot of people in T-Mobile Arena in 8 seasons have no idea that I'm a Broadway actor. I was doing the acting thing for almost 20 years before I transitioned into sports. This year is my 29th year in entertainment. I consider sports for me, still working in entertainment because I'm a personality in sports. But yeah, 20 years doing theater and film and television wherever I could.
Yeah.
And with that came a lot of hospitality work too, because you kept your days free.
You got to fill that up, right?
Yeah. Well, no, you got to pay your bills.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
When your career's going great, you're great. When you're off,
peaks and valleys, baby,
you're
right?
bartending, you're waiting tables, you're managing a door at a nightclub. I did all of it.
I love it.
Yeah. When I was in New York City, I moved to New York in 1996 and I moved to Los Angeles in 05 or 04. So I was almost in Manhattan for a decade and LA for 8 years before I came here. And I literally worked every job in hospitality in between gigs, not because I wanted to, but just because, actually, no, it was because I wanted to. It wasn't because I had to. It was just, I hate being bored.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't just sit at home waiting for my agent to call or the next job to show up. So I would wait tables or I'd bartend, and that community is awesome. Most of my friends to this day are from the hospitality industry.
I think you know Chad Brown, right? You know Chad and Leah. They're good friends of mine too. They were just, he's been on the show. So
yeah,
he goes to every game. He was at
the game. I brought him up to the castle. He did some trivia game with me.
Right.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he was on the Indenia podcast.
Yeah, we've had him on 3 times, I think. Yeah, I love Chad. He's good. He's a good dude. He does a lot of marketing stuff for us too, for structure.
Yeah. Shout out Chad Brown. Good dude. So you held the Stanley Cup and you raised it. You know, what was that moment? Did you realize what was happening?
It's
like
my screensaver on my phone.
Is it?
Don't tell my wife.
Nice.
Surreal. Yeah. And, I talk about it a lot because, again, as a kid who just wanted to play the game, how many kids are playing road hockey right now in Canada and they're running around. I used to get in trouble because I'd shovel the street before I'd shovel my driveway so we could play a game and, pitcher of ice water in the snowbank to keep it cold. And, everybody dreams of winning the Stanley Cup. And as somebody who then pivoted and went into entertainment to come full circle and work for a team that is just, first of all, incredibly successful, managed and run better than, most businesses on the planet. And then you're surrounded by some of the best hockey minds in the game and some of the best players on the planet. I flew my dad and my brother in for Game 5. I just said, "Hey, look, I don't think you have a choice. You have to be here with me because I think we're going to finish the series." And there was no way we were losing that game. And to be quite honest, I think the game was over after the first period. I forget what we were up 4-1 or something. But to have my dad, who's now 86 years old, who's Sault Ste. Marie through and through, owner of the Greyhounds, to be able to share that moment with 3 of my siblings and my dad is something I'll never forget. And then it didn't really set in. I tell this story a lot. It didn't really set in that I was a part of that moment until an email came out 3 or 4 weeks later saying, "Hey, get fitted for a Stanley Cup ring. Click the link." My wife was away. My wife was away. I woke up and I wake up the same way every morning. I let the dogs out. I make a coffee. I'm in my underwear in the backyard and I check my phone. I'm squinting at my phone to try and read emails for the day. And that was one of the first emails that popped up. And I'm just like, oh. And, I had the ring in my possession for maybe a day. And then it was FedExed to my father back home.
Oh, man.
Because at the end of the day, it's got Shunock on the ring, right? And that's my dad. As far as I'm concerned, I carry his name. And to have a Stanley Cup ring in our family with our last name on it is something we'll treasure forever. My dad, when he was the majority owner of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, he won a Canadian junior title. He won the Memorial Cup. Mm-hmm. And so to have a Memorial Cup championship ring in our family and now a Stanley Cup ring in our family is pretty special. And it's not something that we take for granted as goofy Canadians. It's the holy grail as far as I'm concerned. And like you said, it's my screensaver picture. I was on the ice at Game 5 and Tyler Ferraro, our producer, director, he's in my ear and he's like, "Hey, your interviews are wrapped." I took my earpiece out just so I could hear a little bit better and hold in a microphone. And I'm literally on the ice with wives and families and kids and the players and everybody's just partying on the ice. And one of the trainers is like, "Shunock, it's your turn." I really didn't know what he was talking about, but he handed me the Stanley Cup. I don't remember what I did with my microphone. Probably just chucked it. Right. And I picked it up, this 33-pound iconic trophy. And I had this moment where I'm like, yeah.
Did you think, I mean, at that point, did you think going all the way back, did your life just all the way rewind all the way back to the beginning of playing hockey? And then like, no, I can't believe I'm holding this thing.
I just looked up at my dad, you know, and I get emotional even just thinking about it. I knew that moment that all of those, and listen, I didn't win the Stanley Cup. The players did. You know, I play a small part in getting fans pumped up. But in that moment, I knew how special it was to know that my dad was watching his youngest son actually lift the Stanley Cup. And I'm like, all of the sacrifices that everybody has made for me, my brothers, my sisters, my parents, my friends, family, everybody, in order for me to be in that moment. And listen, I don't make a living hosting for the Golden Knights, right? I have 19 other jobs.
Yeah.
But to be able to play a small piece of our hockey culture in our community is something that I don't take lightly. I don't have to get paid, right, to do this. This is something that if I had the time, I would do it for free, just to know that I'm, like
don't
you
say
said.
That too loud.
I know.
Don't say that too loud.
There's no raise coming next year. But to be like you introduced me as one of the voices of the Vegas Golden Knights, that's a pretty cool thing to have on your resume, right? And like I said, I'm a fan with a microphone at the end of the day. I'm so passionate about the sport. I love the sport. I can talk about the sport all day long. I'm knowledgeable in the game. And again, like I said, I'm just kid in a candy store when it comes to the Golden Knights.
I mean, I would disagree with you on one thing, is that you're not just the guy who gets the fans pumped up, because those fans help those players win the games.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. And without those fans cheering, and without you pumping them up to cheer when the team needs them to cheer, they don't win games.
Yeah.
Right. So you're just as important as every single one of those other team players.
I'll take it. Thank
in
you.
my opinion.
There's definitely a very, very special talent that I admire about you, you know, as a fellow performer and guitar player, you know, to be able to command a room, and to be able to know that the people are there for a certain reason, and you want to elevate their energy and their reaction as much as possible. And you have done that so well with the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, and then even over to everything, and this is a good transition to Monday's Dark. I remember coming to the first Monday's Dark a couple of years ago, and again, I had met you at the Vegas Golden Knights game through Dr. Natine Engineer, good friend of ours, who's also a guest on the podcast.
He's a handsome fella.
Yeah, he is.
Beautiful
He's a sharp dresser. He's a sharp dressing to the nines.
Too handsome.
You know, and so I'm like, oh, yeah, nonprofit, Life by Me at Monday's Dark. Oh, we got to meet. Okay. So then I come and watch a Monday's Dark, and you performed your ass off, man. You ad lib, you're singing in key, your scales are amazing. You're making everybody laugh hard. You know, you got a great sense of humor, and you're touching people's heartstrings as well to support the organizations that you guys bring in and highlight. That's a crazy talent, man. Like, how did you refine that? You know,
I think it goes back to what we're talking about like holding down so many jobs while you chase a dream, right? Yeah. Like I hospitality and entertainment in Las Vegas are literally ingrained, right? Our job out here is to make our 50 million visitors that come here every year forget about their problems for a few hours. So whether they're sitting in a restaurant, they're in a theater, they're at a sporting event, that's what Vegas is about. People come here. It's a Disneyland for adults, and they want the best of the best. And they want to escape. Like if somebody's coming out from Ohio in the dead of winter, they're looking for a good time. You know? And that's what Vegas does best. We know how to serve. And I think just the years of chasing a career in the arts and working so many different positions, I picked up a skill set that I can talk to anybody. I can sell ice to Eskimos if I really needed to, right? And make people feel at home and at ease. And I think that's one of the things that I actually love about what I can do, is I can make people feel comfortable in any situation, even situations that are sometimes difficult and tragic for that matter. We can care, right? And empathize and make sure people are okay. But Monday's Dark is my baby. Yeah. You know, we've raised millions of dollars for Las Vegas doing what we do, which is entertain, right? Like it all started too from a red carpet invitation, right? When I got Rock of Ages, part of our responsibilities in the show was we had to show face at various events around town that our PR firm required us to be at. So I'd have to go to the dressing room, get my costume on well before the show, get whisked away in a car and go to the Keep Memory Alive Gala or the Opportunity Village event or the 3 Square Food Bank event. These are all the big ones in town, right? And I didn't even know who they were at the time because I was new to Vegas and I couldn't even stay for the event because I would show up at 6 o'clock, walk the carpet, take a picture in costume and get right back in the car and go back to the Venetian to do the show. And it dawned on me pretty early on in my Vegas life that A, this city is incredibly giving, but B, there's a better way for us as entertainers to give back than to get whisked off in costume and then whisked right back. So I was like, what does Keep Memory Alive do? What does Opportunity Village do? And the more I asked questions, the more I realized that I wanted to help all these organizations in town, but I wanted to help on my terms. So I immediately stopped going to these red carpet events and I'd send the understudy or somebody else from the cast would go because Monday's dark. The name comes from the fact that Broadway is traditionally dark on Monday. We don't perform. And so I would just ask the entertainment community in town on Monday night, said, hey, you want to get together on Monday night? Let's jam. Let's tell some jokes. Let's have a good time. We'll theme it. We'll do Beatles tunes. We'll do 80s rock. We'll do hair bands. We'll do yacht rock, whatever.
That's service industry night too, right? I mean, that's the same night
and
for
we'll give all the money away. And we'll give all the money away to a cause. And so that's how it started. And actually, Opportunity Village was one of our first nonprofits. I called them and I said, hey, look, I'm a goofy entertainer on the Strip. I'm going to do a party on Monday night. Can I have your approval to use your name and raise money on your behalf? And I had to explain what the event was. And now, obviously, here we are 12 years later, 230 nonprofits supported, $10,000 a piece, millions of dollars raised.
Wow.
It's reversed. So we're household in the philanthropic world. Like if you have a charity in Las Vegas, you know who Monday's Dark is because Monday's Dark simply throws a party every other Monday. We write a check for $10,000 every other Monday to a different local nonprofit. And I
know somebody who was a recipient of that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And that's, we met and we were just getting a grant from Life by Music. And we're looking for a space to hold our, I'm like, man, I've been to the space before because my brother and we played at a very early on showcase with Indigo, with Serena.
Yeah.
And we were there like, man, I want to, that's the coolest place to do Life by Music outreach. There's not a cooler place. So then it just kind of came together. Our shoulder to shoulder outreach, like it worked out to where we could come and teach veterans every Tuesday night, every Tuesday and Thursday. We've shown up now. We're starting our third one next month, but we got in and I remember, we'll get you in there for Monday's Dark. But I knew that the list was just insane.
Well, you knew a guy.
Yeah.
I got a guy.
And so I didn't even, we're in there doing our shoulder to shoulder outreach in the back space room at the space. And, oh man, Emily's like, hey, are you signed up for Monday's Dark? I'm like, look, I know you guys are super stacked. So I haven't even signed up yet. Like we'll get there when we get there. And she's like, no, you need to sign up. Like, oh, okay, we'll put it in. And then, one of the days I'm there teaching the veterans and we're about to leave and I can see Emily, she's just like smiling. She's like, I'm like, hey, you're having a really good day today. Yeah. Like gives me a hug. Oh, okay. She's just smiling ear to ear. And I'm like, you're just making me smile. I don't even know what it's about. And then come to find out. Yeah. Beautiful team you have. Come to find out. Life by Music was on the list this year. And Alex, if you don't mind, on my birthday last month, we were given a $10,000 check by Monday's Dark.
Super awesome.
Mark handed it to us. And
not that one. You couldn't cash that one. That's
I took it.
It's a little big to bring into the bank. They can't get it underneath that clear plexiglass.
That reminds me of that guy who paid his parking tickets with pennies and poured them on the counter.
Love it.
Yeah, listen, we have
awesome,
an incredible board.
Yeah.
We have a board of 7. We have a wait list of about 300 nonprofits.
Yeah.
And they vet the charities, and we do 21 Monday's Dark parties a year. So we give out about 200. Well, not about. We give out $210,000 in cash every year, and then similar to your situation, if the facility, the space can continue its give to organizations where you can hold classes or seminars or fundraising events, we provide the space at no cost or little staff cost, right, to the nonprofits so that they can raise more funds and awareness for what they're doing. So it's a cool thing. It's a big part of Cheryl and I. It's a massive part of our life.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the conversation we were having before we started recording about how we define ourselves, right? And a lot of people thought of me, oh, you're the Golden Knights guy. And at first that was cool, but now 8 seasons in, a lot of people high five me at games now and say, hey man, we love what you do for our community.
Yeah.
And that means even more to me than the goal we just scored on the ice, right? Like when a fan stops me and I high five, I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. And they hold on to my hand for a split second longer and we make eye contact and it gets a little awkward. And I'm like, oh, what is this guy doing? And he brings up or she brings up Monday's Dark. Mm-hmm. That's the icing on the cake for me.
It's amazing.
And also too, listen, I know that having that position inside T-Mobile 30, 40 times a year, it's good for Monday's Dark too.
Yeah.
Like people start talking about it and they're like, hey, you see that crazy guy on the mic right now?
Oh yeah.
He's got a cool charity program. Look into it. Yeah. And it just starts, little seeds planted. And to be able to say that we've raised millions of dollars for Las Vegas and we've spent zero on marketing.
That's pretty incredible.
Thing, right? Like we try to make sure that every dollar we spend is going towards a cause as opposed to admin or, BS.
You are the sriracha of philanthropy in Las Vegas.
Let's go. I love sriracha.
What was it that really got you? How did the idea come about and what drug you into that direction where you were just not going to stop until it became what you needed?
Well, a lot of it had to do with those red carpet appearances that I just didn't want to go to anymore. And, I wanted to help the community. And, a lot of people in our entertainment industry, they latch onto one cause and they make it their thing. Right. And I couldn't really find one cause that I wanted to commit to. And I was like, let's just create our own vehicle. And, I sometimes refer to Monday's Dark as like the cool, hip, united way. Because we're an organization that helps everyone. We don't have one lane that we stay in. Everything from dog rescues to cancer organizations to veterans and children's causes to LGBTQ+. We don't care. Yeah. If you're doing good work and you're serving our community, we want to bring awareness to that mission and we want to write you a check. So I think it was just that was sort of the emphasis, but then also, I was talking about my parents earlier. My mom and dad are just incredible human beings, as all of our parents are. We all look up to our folks, and I'm fortunate enough that they're still with me. They're 86 and 84 years old. They love coming to Vegas. I have 5 older siblings who all have families and kids, and I'm the cool uncle in Vegas doing some cool stuff. But also, our family is very giving and loving, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I witnessed 2 incredible human beings growing up continually give more than they received. And, I idolize my parents. And, I know a lot of people say, oh, your parents must be so proud of you. Your parents must be so proud of everything you're doing. It's 100% the reverse when it comes to our family. My brothers and sisters and myself, we are so proud of our parents.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that
is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been told too, from an individual at one point that you're either a giver or you're a taker.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah. Listen, I like to get, I like to get, but I like to give so much more.
Feels better.
Yeah. Well,
you just feel better.
There's no cost.
Yeah.
You just do it, man. You do it. I don't feel as though I've ever lost anything in giving.
Yeah.
Like I don't think, I'd have to take a second and do a deep dive and feel like, when was the last time I felt crappy after helping somebody? I don't know.
So true. I never feel bad after leaving a school or leaving.
I tell people all the time, one of the best days of walking through the space is when I walk through the venue and I see Ryan and 30 vets with guitars in their hands.
Change the chord now.
Yeah. Like,
change the chord now.
The program is irrelevant, right? It's the community. You know, seeing veterans come together and the camaraderie, the what music does for people.
Yeah.
I helped them become that. I helped them learn this.
At our Mondays Dark, we had a handful of veterans from the program.
Yeah, I asked them at the end of the night.
And we brought them up on stage when Mark was presenting the check to the organization. We also called up the veterans. And then Mark asked one of the veterans, you know, like, well, what's the best part of the, you know, the program here at the space? And, you know, he said, connecting with these people. I've stayed connected with these veterans. I hadn't met them before. On top of him saying, you know, it helps with my PTSD. And that's just such a special moment, man. You know?
Yeah, not one of them referenced a G chord or the guitar that they got.
Mm-hmm.
It was about the program and the community that it created. And like he said, the interesting way that the PTSD gets dealt with in a creative, artistic, loving approach.
Yeah.
That to me is the icing on the cake, right? And when, as an organization with the space in Mondays Dark, we can brag about the fact that we help that group, I'll scream that to the rafters. Just as passionate as get up on your feet and get loud. You know, like I want to brag about that. And I need to do a better job at that, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I need to do a better job at bragging about the team at the space and the people that we help. Because to your point, a lot of people don't know about us outside of this philanthropic
That's what I was going to
circle.
say, is that I didn't know about it until Ryan brought it up to me. I think it was last year is when he first started talking about it, when he was doing some of the work with the vets at your place that you offered up at no charge to do that, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's an easy thing to offer up, right?
You know?
When you, like I said, when you get the opportunity to walk through, you know, and see these men and women strumming chords and having a good time, and again, comparing it to our 50 million visitors, forgetting about their problems for a little while and coming into a room, a theater or a classroom, whatever it may be. That's what it's all about, you know?
And everybody's looking at rooting for the same cause. Everybody is, there's a collective.
We're all on the same team.
Right. Everybody's on the same team. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people would be very happy with the amount of success you've achieved. If it was their own, they'd say, I feel good. But for some wild reason, you know, you have more ambition. You know that there's more that you're still shooting for. And you know, I definitely want to touch on your latest gig here, but I also want to continue the conversation about the space and the work that you're doing and that's been done so far, and the growth and the whole plan for the space 2.0. If we can touch on that.
Yeah. So the space is home to Mondays Dark. It's our current home, thespacelv.com. It's just an awesome community center / venue. We're open 3 to 5 nights a week with concerts, private parties, small weddings, bat mitzvahs, fashion shows, your program, Alzheimer's support group meetings, AA meetings, kids classes, you name it, we want it, right? We have a building. It's a block off the strip. It's cool. The Space 2.0, as we're referencing it, is just basically an expansion of that on steroids.
Yeah.
We acquired a parcel of land right behind the Aria and the Cosmopolitan, and we are going to embark on a $50 million capital campaign, 50, to build this facility. And it will focus primarily on wellness and mental health for any individual in Las Vegas that works in hospitality, entertainment, first responders, veterans, construction, public education students, and public educators. So those demographics we feel are incredibly underserved in this area. The men and women who truly carry Las Vegas on their backs. And because of our location being a block off the strip, we want to make sure that those folks know that there will be a place for them to go and get the help that they need. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I know how to fix mental health or our public education system, but there are organizations like yours doing incredible work in Las Vegas. And all we want to do is put them on a pedestal and put them in the Rolls Royce of a brand.
Providing them the resources so that they can accomplish those things.
Build a facility that is safe, badass, and you want to go to it.
Plus, it's not that it ain't pretty.
Yeah. You can
that
put
place is quite pretty. Alex, pull that up, buddy.
We sent you the rendering. So we announced this 3 weeks ago at a press conference. And this is, again, these are concept designs, but it shows you the location of where we're going to be. Like I said, we're a block off the Strip,
just west,
right behind the Aria and the Cosmo, west on Harmon. And our current home is 8,900 square feet.
Ooh,
this facility will be 80,000 square feet of usable space.
Impressive.
So our current home can fit almost 10 times in this location. Enough parking for 400 vehicles. The last thing I want to do is build something and can't have you park on it. My wife loves going to Spring Mountain to eat.
Yeah.
I hate going to Spring Mountain to eat because you can never park.
Yeah.
So I said, if we're going to build something from the ground up, and this is a one of one, this has never been done in the United States, let alone Las Vegas. The space will encompass 7 nonprofits as of right now, and this list will grow. But 7 nonprofits will call the space home, and it starts with Community Counseling Centers of Southern Nevada. They've been in Vegas for 30 years with a location on East Sahara, and they serve everybody in the mental health wellness space. All we're doing is offering them a second location at no cost, put them on a pedestal. I think the line is going to be around the door. Again, going back to those demographics that we talked about. Second is the Firefighter Behavioral Health Alliance. They serve the men and women in the fire department. The number one killer in the fire department is not fire, it's actually suicide.
Wow.
So we're going to give them a permanent home and let our first responders know that they have a place to be. Your program, Life by Music, that's amazing how our partnership has evolved over the short time.
Yeah.
But the work that you're doing is desperately needed. Not only do you serve veterans, but you serve underserved children as well in the music space. And when I think of organizations like Keep Memory Alive that I'm so passionate about in brain health, right, with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, what music does there is ridiculous. What it's doing now with PTSD and trauma and children and bullying and things of that nature, it's remarkable. So that's another organization that we're going to put in the building.
Thank you.
And listen, thank you. Core Academy and Public Education Foundation are going to come in and help us create and govern an after-school program for CCSD students. Listen, I'm a Broadway performer. One of the biggest things that I enjoyed when I was doing Lion King was taking that Timon puppet into classrooms all around the country. We have some of the best artists, musicians, entertainers, actors, dancers, acrobats from all over the planet, let alone United States. Let's get those kids in classrooms with cirque performers, with musicians, change their lives, give them access to something that they never had access before. So that's a big deal for me. And then the big one is the Entertainment Community Fund. They're an organization based in New York and Los Angeles. They're over 100 years old, and they serve anybody who works in entertainment, whether you're on stage, off stage, hair and makeup, wardrobe, carpenter, electrician, singer, actor, dancer. They have programs and services that are structured and catered to specifically working in entertainment. They're going to move to Las Vegas for the first time in over 100 years in this building. Annette Benning is their chair. She flew out to be a part of our press conference. She was there. That just shows you the need. And one quick story, during the pandemic, I raised $122,000 for our entertainment community, but I had no way of distributing the funds to actors, dancers, carpenters, ticket takers, ushers. So what I did was I sent the check to the Entertainment Community Fund in Los Angeles, and I said, hey, do me a favor, earmark this money to the entertainment professionals in Vegas. They said, Mark will gladly do that. Just so you know, we don't have a presence in Vegas. We're not sure that people will know to contact us for the money. I said, you leave that to me. Hold my beer, as the cool kids say, right? In 8 months, the Entertainment Community Fund distributed $1.2 million to our entertainment community.
Wow.
Which proved immediately to me that there was a need, not only for their financial assistance that they provide in emergency situations, but all of the programming that they provide. You know, career transitioning. If you're a dancer, you can't dance anymore, your body can't take it. What do you do? That's a very tough time for an adult who has spent basically their entire youth into adulthood chasing that dream.
I know
of
a lot of
being
people
dancer.
chase that dream, been in that dream, and then in the transition out of it, right?
So that's a big deal. And so when I reached out to them and I said, look, I got this opportunity to build this facility. Will you open an office in Vegas? They agreed. And to me, that's such a win for our entertainment community. There's talk of this $2 billion movie studio. Where are those people going to go and get help, right?
Yeah.
Entertainment Community Fund is household in New York and LA, and we desperately need their services here in Vegas. We are the entertainment capital of the world. We have films being shot here. We have stage productions. We have magicians. We have acrobats. We got musicians. We got everybody. We got the best of the best.
Yeah.
So now we have the best nonprofit that will call the space home in addition to the others that I've mentioned. So it is a unicorn. It's a true community center focused on mental health and wellness. but there will be such collaboration and love and support within these organizations working with each other.
Yeah.
And the Monday's Dark program isn't going to go anywhere. And then also too, when you call the space, because we've already partnered with over 200 nonprofits, if we don't have somebody in the building, it's a speed dial phone call away to get you the services and support that you need.
Yeah.
So we want to change the stigma of not feeling okay in Las Vegas. Simple. If you're not okay today, it's okay. What are you going to do? You're going to call the space and they got your back.
How far away are you from the reality of it, from realizing the building?
We need to raise a ton of money. Right. Like I said, this is
how can we do that?
Well, you got to call me and you got to write a big fat check. Right now, our focus is on 20 naming right opportunities.
Okay.
So there will be plenty of opportunities this year. You'll hear from us. We're going to go crazy bananas on social and PR and all that stuff where you can donate $10, $20, $100, $1,000. Those opportunities will present themselves later on down the road. But in order to really move this project along, we need corporate America. We need major donors to step up and get us 30%, 40%, 50%, 60% funded. So that way we can trim the fat here and there and get some in-kind from construction. Maybe somebody knows an LED company. We can get the walls donated. I'm calling Moen and Kohler to get toilets donated, things of that nature, right? But that will all come later on. Right now, it's assembling the key players, the key benefactors, donors to say, hey, we believe in this project. Here's a check. And it's a legitimate gift. And those dominoes are falling. The more and more people hear about it on programs like this, the phones start calling and say, hey, I want to help you. How can I help you? We're going to change the game in Vegas. There's a lot of cool projects. We get new casinos, we get new restaurants, we get new sports teams. Those are all fantastic. We have the best of all of that. We have the best resorts. We have the best teams, the best restaurants, the best shows, the best concerts. But what makes them the best? It's the people. It's the people that make them go. The employees in that casino, the employees in that show, the guys in the band, the people in the kitchen cooking your meal. They're what make those experiences the best. And that's the mission of the space, is to care for those who serve. 50 million people a year come to this great city. We do an incredible job at serving them. When those 50 million people go home, who serves those who serve? That's what I want to do.
That's great.
Yeah, man.
Well,
mic drop.
Yeah.
As far as the LED video tiles are concerned.
See, there you go. You know a guy.
He is the guy.
I got 150 tiles in the back right now. They're yours.
Done.
Okay.
Done. There you go. We got a great local company, Technology West.
Okay.
Heard about the project? They're going to be on our design team.
Great.
So just so everybody's aware of where we are in the project, because this is us being transparent. We've raised significant dollars, but more importantly, the land is ours. So we've got the land. The design, which you saw, is through entitlements at the county. So the county has approved us to move forward.
Fantastic.
We're now in the design phase with Carpenter Sellers Delgado, the top architect firm in town. Guy Martin from Martin Harris Construction is going to build it. Jeff Gooch from Strategic is overseeing the campaign. Lexicon Bank is our local bank. HRC is our local accounting firm. Tech West is going to come in. Helix Electric. All of these amazing companies want to build it. They're like, we're in. I haven't received a single invoice from any of those companies today because they're all born and raised here. They get it. They understand the need. Even on the construction side, the guys who are going to build it, there's no infrastructure in place for wellness and mental health for the men and women who build this city.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not bitching. I know we have problems with our education system.
You're just trying to come up with solutions. That's all.
Let's help.
Yeah.
If we spent less time tweeting or Xing and bitching and actually sitting around like this, talking about how we can improve our life, more shit would get done.
Yeah.
And so that's my belief. Because again, we were saying, hey, we only get so much time in this life that we're given.
Oh, yeah.
I want to spend my time working with cool people on cool shit, plain and simple.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's one of the most noble and cool projects that's going to come to the Valley. It's going to change the game.
Well, you have to remember, dude, it's because of what you do that this project came about, right? Like, I have a current building And we're doing wonderful things in an 8,900 square foot warehouse on Polaris and Harmon. People get there and they're like, is my car going to get ripped off? But then you come inside and you're like, wow, this place is awesome.
Yeah.
And you feel loved, you feel safe. It's a cool place. Because of my experiences with the space and organizations like yours, I'm like, here's this opportunity to build a unicorn on the corner just down the street and elevate what you do in the community. That's it.
Yeah.
And then just tell people, man, if you're not feeling good today, go there.
Yeah.
Or not. But we're 3 dudes. I don't want to go to the doctor. I hate it. I don't want to talk to anybody. But I've gotten better at both of those things. Because as you get older, you realize health.
You start to realize,
health, how important
you're
your
not
health is.
invincible.
You can't do anything if you're not feeling well. And you got to figure out what's going on up here.
Right.
Like doctors can't operate on you if they're mentally not right. You can't run an organization if you're mentally not right. You can't go to work and get fans to get up out of their seats and cheer them on if you're not right. Everything starts up here. You got to have a clear mind, or at least have a healthy sense of being before you can attack anything.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older and I've had more responsibility and more jobs come my way and more cool opportunities, the more I realize how important my health and wellness truly is. Because I can't do anything if I'm not healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm the most optimistic person on the planet. Tell me I can't do something.
I think RFK said it best. RFK Jr. just recently said that if you're healthy, you've got all kinds of dreams. If you're not healthy, you only have one. And that's to be healthy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so true, man. You talking about being healthy, and you're obviously of right mind to be able to take on another venture and get even more fans in an even bigger arena. You are now the ring announcer for the WWE.
Is there a better contestant on this show than
it's insane.
Ain't Done Yet for this guy?
Yeah, like truly. You are the epitome of our ethos on the 100%. Ain't Done Yet podcast. We are not done with this life. We keep building, we keep growing, we keep learning. And so this is so fun to be able to, we're raising, just like the celebrity poker tournament you had me at. I'm like, all right, I raised you another one, you know? And so you just recently became, you are now working with the the Worldwide Wrestling Entertainment. I like to still call it WWF. But, you know, WWE, you are now with them. What is that like, man? How did that come about?
Great. It's awesome. Just kid in a candy store, right? To say you're the ring announcer for SmackDown on Friday nights.
Yeah.
Work begets work, as you guys know, right? Like business is business. Yeah. You treat a client right, that client's going to tell somebody else. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, your customer base will continue to grow.
Word of mouth.
As a musician, as an actor.
Yeah.
The more people you're in front of, the more people see you do what you do. And work will beget work. So It all comes back to the Golden Knights, and it's still why I'm with the organization, right? I'm so passionate about our Vegas-born Golden Knight family. Year 1, season 1, it's October. Season 1, we just started. Top Rank Boxing is based in Las Vegas, and Todd DeBoeuf, who runs the organization, is a big hockey guy, played for BU, is in the stands, and he's seeing me go nuts on a microphone. So I get a call out of the blue, literally a week after the season starts, from CAA, the big agency in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. CAA Sports calls and says, hey, we represent Top Rank Boxing on ESPN. Would you be interested in taking a meeting with Top Rank? And the goofy guy that I am, going back to the call to Bill Foley, I asked them, I said, should I be interested in working in boxing? And they were like, yeah, you should be. So I flew to LA. I met with CAA, and I'll name drop. The head of CAA Sports at the time was Nick Khan. So I walked into Nick Khan's office.
Big guy.
And he said, hey, man, we love what you're about. Let's help broker a deal between you and Top Rank. And so immediately I started working as a host for Top Rank Boxing. And that role evolved. I was with the organization for 7 years. And for the last 4.5 years, I was their basically face. I hosted their press conferences, did all of their weigh-ins, and did all the ring announcing for Top Rank Boxing. work begets work. So I'm content, right? Like I'm running the space. I'm doing Mondays Dark. I'm working for the Golden Knights and I'm working for Top Rank on ESPN.
So are you a little bit different between Top Rank Boxing and then the WWE, which is completely two different platforms? And then you have the Vegas Knights. Are you in character for each of these positions, or
they're all unique, right?
Okay.
I recently,
because I just assume, you get on, you're like real pumped up on the mic on WWE,
you have
right?
to be. You have to be. It's the WWE. It's the best. It's the best show on television.
Yeah.
I had to resign from Top Rank Boxing, unfortunately. Okay. And let me tell you that was a very difficult decision for me to make, because I give everything to whoever gives me an opportunity, right? You get 100% of me, 110% of me when it comes to hiring me. You're asking me to do something. I'm all in, man. I love you. Let's go to work. How do we make this awesome? That's my mindset. So after 7 years with Top Rank and ESPN, I get a text message out of the blue from Triple H, just saying, "Hey, we love you, man. We love your ring announcing. You want to come work for the WWE?" And
Triple H married McMahon's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a big wrestling.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know that.
And what's awesome is that Nick Khan is now the president of the WWE.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of full circle moment, right? And they're just incredible human beings. And I like I said, all I care about is doing right by them. There's no other intention for me right now than just making sure that I am representing this brand the best I possibly can, because they deserve that and more. And they've entrusted me to do a job, and I want to crush it. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's an incredible empire that, that organization.
I'm akin to Kenny. So listen, I was a huge fan as a kid, like growing up.
Oh yeah.
My high school days, I hate to say that I had them in high school, but the ring and the figures and all that stuff were up on the shelf. And I had the big Hulk Hogan.
Me too.
And, when it comes crashing down, like that was my, who didn't have that theme song as a kid, right? I was a big Superfly Snuka fan as a kid. Hacksaw.
I was a Jake the Snake fan, Yeah.
So when you get those opportunities, you kind of tilt your head a little bit and go, huh. But I will say this, that, you earn stuff, man. Like you work your ass off, not to be cheesy, but we've seen it on Instagram, the sort of, what do you call it? The iceberg meme where, the tip of the ice is this far over the water, but nobody sees underneath the water.
Yeah.
It's so true.
We work incredibly hard. My wife and I, we bust our ass. And nothing in the entertainment.
Shout out Cheryl.
Yeah. Nothing in entertainment, as you know, is given. It's all earned. People. There's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. This Hollywood elite, and it's the furthest thing from the truth. There is no such thing. I'm going to throw it out there. People might hate me if they watch this, but nobody understands how difficult that journey is to get to a point in Hollywood or entertainment where you've made it. And everybody's definition of made it is different. Mine certainly is. I just set out after my hockey days didn't work out and I moved to New York. All I wanted to do was work in entertainment. And I didn't care how or what I was doing. I just wanted to be a part of this really cool community. Whether I was a stagehand or a grip or a carp or somebody on mic or behind, I didn't care. I just wanted to work in entertainment. That's my definition of making it. And I busted my ass in order to
you get out,
make it.
You get out what you put in, right? The more you put in, the more you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
That's what I always try to tell everybody.
I didn't give myself a timeline. Like a lot of people say, I'm going to go to LA or New York and give myself a year. My advice to anybody who's thinking that is don't go.
Yeah, then don't go.
Save your money, because some people get off a bus and they start working, and some people it takes 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's taken me 29.
Yeah.
It's a lot like cold calling, right? I tell the folks that have to cold call, it's like, you can't do 20 calls. You can't do 30 calls. Yeah. You got to do 100 calls. You do 100 calls, you're going to get 5 people that might listen to something that you have to say. You get 2 that are interested and maybe 1 that buys. Yeah. And if you can't deal with that rejection every day, as I'm sure you dealt with throughout your career in your
100%.
industry.
Yeah, 100%
It's not
of
for
those.
you. You gotta be able to deal with rejection because you're gonna find it. You just got to keep at it.
So can we, just because I am such a wrestling fan, Alex, can you pull up this picture of Mark and in his SmackDown debut? How cool is that?
Nice.
Coming out there.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
So awesome, dude. Is it surreal being in front of that many people? I mean, with the Vegas Knights, right? The first time you went out with the Vegas Knights and you have all these people cheering and you're like, hey, I'm the guy that has to like keep these guys riled up and these people ready to rock and roll and roar.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a huge job? Is it a lot of weight on your shoulders when you do that?
It's my job. And if I wasn't nervous, that's when it's time to get out.
Yeah.
You know, like I think the same could be said
yeah.
when you're standing backstage and you're about to walk out and play a concert. If you're not nervous, if you don't get those butterflies, it's time to move on and find something else.
Yeah.
And I still get them every Vegas Golden Knights game, every time I step out on Monday's dark stage. And now that I walk out to a WWE event, absolutely. But it never gets old for me. Somebody is seeing me for the first time and somebody is seeing me for the last time. And that's what I carry with me. A lot of people asked, how do you do, when we were doing Broadway shows, they're like, how do you do the same show 8 shows a week? And it was that answer every time. Somebody's seeing The Lion King or Rock of Ages for the first time. And unfortunately, somebody is seeing their last Broadway show, you know? And like you just said earlier, I don't care if there's 5 people or 500 people.
Yeah.
Gotta kill it every time.
You're getting the same mark every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and there are going to be moments when I don't feel great and, you know, like I'm like, oh, I gotta do this. Yeah, but that's okay. That's my job.
Yeah.
Get in the car and psych yourself up or get in your dressing room and figure it out. Have a coffee. Let's go.
Right.
Got to go to work, man.
That actually brings
Love
up a question I wanted to ask. It's kind of a 2-part question. It might be just for me, but I feel like aspiring artists, musicians, entrepreneurs, influencers, you know, that people who want to make a difference, want to get up on the stage and speak their truth. You know, do you have like specific routines before the spotlight? One, before the spotlight goes on, and then 2, when the spotlights turn off. Do you have like some kind of, okay, this is what I do to hype myself up? And then what I've had to struggle with for so many years is how to come down off of everything, you know, and that's something that I'm still trying to figure out to this day. So are there any routines that you have? Some suggestions?
They've evolved over the years, right? Because when it's an acting gig, that's the preparation that before you step on stage into a role is much different than a hosting dynamic. So my preparation has changed, but there's still preparation. Most of it now is physical. It's all about warming up. And then as I've gotten older, the importance of warming down, which when I was younger, I never ever thought of, right? Yeah. And when I was in New York doing shows or here in Vegas, you're on that adrenaline high when you get off stage, right? And there's no way you're going to bed a half an hour after you walk off stage. Like it's just impossible. And so my clock was, you know, very much tuned to an 8 o'clock performance every night where I probably didn't get to bed until 2:30 in the morning, sometimes 3 o'clock because of that adrenaline of getting off the stage at 11 o'clock. And you have a bite to eat, you try to eat clean and not have a pizza at midnight. And then you meet folks after the show for a cocktail or a beverage. And then you're home and you walk the dog and then you turn on the news and you're like, oh shit, it's 3 o'clock. And then you sleep in as long as you can, you get a workout in, and then it's preparation for getting on stage. And most of that was always physical. It was, you know, stretching and warming up your voice. Because even right now, the tone of my voice in this interview is not the tone of my voice when I'm in T-Mobile or at a WWE event. The register is much higher and it's warmed up and it's crazy. I can go up.
Is that
I can go down.
tact?
It's just preparation. It's just warming. It's a muscle, right? So I have about a 30 to 40 minute vocal warm up for hosting. Back when I was singing every night, it was about an hour, you know, and there's those personal steamers that you see us do. And man, if you saw me in my warm up, you'd probably think I was a crazy person walking the street. Like, cause you're like, oh my God, what is that guy doing? You know, all these trills and vocal warm ups and stretches. And so for me right now, it's
a little bit of a perfectionist then, huh?
OCD.
Yeah. OCD. Yeah.
When it comes to, especially when it comes to ring announcing, I have one job, and it's to introduce you. There is nothing, in my opinion, about ring announcing that is about me. I choose to wear all black on purpose. I'm the Johnny Cash of ring announcing because it's not about me. I can wear some cool outfits, but they're always black. I don't have flashy jackets. I don't throw
no Liberace stuff or anything.
No, it's about you. It's about these incredible athletes. When I was in boxing, they're literally risking their lives. They're walking into a ring and the person standing across from them has one job, and it's to knock them out. That person might get killed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It rarely happens in boxing because it's so well governed now and managed, and the health of the fighter is really looked after. But sometimes accidents happen. And most of the time, that gentleman or woman who is walking into the ring is fighting to put food on their table. So my job is to pump your ass up in that moment and to introduce you with your credits and what you're wearing and where you're from and what your record is and who your titles are, and let's go. Yeah. And what was amazing over the 5 years is that I developed an incredible rapport with a lot of the fighters that were signed to Top Rank, because in those 5 years, some of them made their professional debut and have gone on to win world titles. And I've been a part of every single one of their fights. And nothing gets me more excited than seeing them in that corner, getting so pumped up, ready to go to war.
Yeah. Were you ever rooting for one or the other?
Internally.
Yeah.
But externally, I'm sitting ringside, and I'm privileged to sit ringside and watch these warriors go at it. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm in the WWE, the approach is the same. You know, it's not about me. It's about these incredible superstars who are flying all over the place and putting their bodies through hell.
Yeah.
You can say what you want about wrestling. If you're not a fan, it's okay. Sit ringside and watch it, and you try and do that.
You'll change your mind real quick.
I've always, it's violent theater.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And
is what it is.
I've always loved it. You know, my brother and
I think,
performers, at the band. Otherwise, it's like we were just pretty chill dudes before the show, but then when it was time to hit the stage, it was like Hulk Hogan. Like it was time to go.
You can feel the adrenaline in the room.
We learned that.
It's your job to entertain. And these guys again are putting their bodies through hell. And oh my. I'm just a kid in a cool suit sitting in the corner with a microphone. Let's make it about you. And what's crazy is last week, we had an introduction to a WWA debut. Ray Phoenix made his WWA debut. And this guy is a legend. I just didn't want to screw it up. At the end of the day, I was just like, oh my God. This guy. And I got to introduce him. I was like, ladies and gentlemen, from weighing, making his WWE debut. Place went bananas. So at that moment, you got to understand your role. Your role is to just tell the world what's about to happen and make it about that incredible superstar.
Is there a slight difference? I'm only used to one sound of applause. Is there a difference in a Vegas Golden Knights goal and a WWE SmackDown pop? Or is it just the sound of humanity just expressing, excitement? Is it pretty similar?
Yeah, they're similar. And I think fan bases all over the planet are similar. Yeah. Sport is something really special, right? It brings a group of people into a coliseum, and they're there to watch the gladiators go at it. And when your team, when your guy, when your woman wins, oof. You guys are fans of teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know how you act when you're watching your team at home and there's nobody
yelling
around.
At the screen. What are you doing?
Exactly. So,
get him. It's coming back.
Yeah. So imagine that.
I'm yelling at the Knights all the time. I was yelling at them a couple weeks ago.
There are distinct pockets around the country. And fans are unique, right? Like when I did some boxing matches in the UK, they love boxing. They're singing, they're doing their thing. They're on their own world. We're just there for the ride, right? And again, I know my place. There's no reason. You can put a beach ball up, right? And they're going to just toss it. So it's the same thing in my world, right? You just gotta tease them a little bit, and then they take it. London was my first show with SmackDown. So I was in the O2 Arena in London. Cool. Wow. Iconic. They're singing, Cody Rhodes, Cody. And here's Cody Rhodes. And he comes back to Chicago the next week, and the fans in Chicago are singing what the fans in London did. And Cody called him out on it and said, did you guys pick that up from London? And they were like, heck yeah, you did. He goes, good, because I love it.
Nice.
It just
Keep that
shows
going
you the
everywhere.
power of sport and community. It's incredible. So I don't want to get in the way of that. I just want to complement it as best I can.
That's what made me such a huge fan. And I wasn't a fan of hockey before. That's what made me a huge fan of hockey. I walked into our first Golden Knights game, and whatever this community did, which I'm sure has a lot to do with what you were doing at the time, everybody was together. Yeah. And it was the most awesome feeling. I'm like, I love this team. I just automatically fell in love with that team because the camaraderie that was in that room, everybody was singing. They knew all the chants together. And this is like the first, I don't know, maybe 8th game, maybe 10th game.
Yeah, you got to remember
in around that area.
One of the big things that brought the community together with the Golden Knights, and I hate to bring it up because it's such a tragic part of our history, was the shooting. You know, so the shooting that happened on 10/1, our season opener to launch the franchise was a week later. Yeah. And going back, I mentioned Johnny Greco as our VP of entertainment. The entertainment team at that time had put together a party. You know, we're about to launch a franchise, and everything was a celebratory, bananas over the top experience about coming to a hockey game. And 8 days before we're about to do it, we have to pivot. Yeah. And they did an incredible job of honoring the men and women, who were unfortunately killed, but also to the first responders who went above and beyond to take the city on their backs. And that's something that I don't think anybody will be able to ever take away from the Golden Knights, from a sports team franchise. Like we're going to get baseball here. We're going to get basketball here eventually. We have the Raiders. We have the Aces. We have the AAA team in Summerlin. Yeah. Those teams will never have a connection to the city.
They brought the city back.
Like Vegas Golden Knights, because we truly were Vegas born.
Glued us back together.
You know, it was our franchise, first professional sports team that was truly ours, not a relocation.
Right.
And the work that the organization did to help heal a community is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I don't ever want to see it again. I don't think none of us do, but what they did to heal a community and bring people together, we will never see again.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, I have one more question for you, and I think Ryan has one more too, but what keeps you grounded? I know you gotta split out of here, so we don't want to keep you too much longer.
Yeah, I know we could ask you so many more questions, but we will keep it tight, and we will have you back on the podcast.
I think as I get older, what keeps me grounded is my attention to time. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of what I do now, and a lot of conversations like this, whether it's business or work related, it's always about time and understanding that now I'm on the other side of the hill, right? And that's really bizarre for me to think, because I still feel like I'm 19 years old and I still feel like I'm just starting. So what keeps me grounded is just my understanding that, you know, tomorrow isn't guaranteed, and just leave things better than the way you found them.
Nice. Mm. Yeah, I think we're the same age, and I would agree with you that
I'm
we're kind of on the back. We're on the back nine, right?
No, I'm 65.
Okay, 65. Yeah. So I got you by 2 years.
Yeah. I thought you were 67.
So I have a question that I like to ask our guests, and actually tying into that 19-year-old that's still inside you. If you could go back in time and speak to him and give him a pointer or a word of advice, or, you know, just say something to him, what would you say to him?
Have more fun. Yeah, I was a pretty disciplined kid. I didn't drink until I was like 23 years old. I think that was the first time I ever got schmammed. You know, I was on a subway. My parents are probably hearing this for the first time. I was on a subway, just hammered in New York City. Had to get off on a stop that wasn't even my stop, because I saw through the doors there was a garbage pail, and I was like, I need that garbage pail. And I got out of the door. Boom, boom. I was too serious when I was young, and I think I just have more fun. And I try to, like, even to this day, just whatever I do, it's what I said before. I want to work on cool shit with cool people, and usually that means fun, even though it's work.
Yeah.
I don't mind putting in the work, because that's something that's in my DNA. I love to work. My wife will tell you, you know, stop.
Yeah.
But I want to work on fun stuff. So looking back, I would tell my younger self to just have fun, have more fun, explore. I think that was the semi-pro athlete in me, right? Because your blinders are on, you're chasing and you're focused on
the hyper focus
early on. Like you see these kids now, they're like savants, like these tennis players and chess players, and they're singers and piano players. And like, oh my God, do they do anything else? And chances are they don't, but that's okay. But looking back on my childhood, I didn't not have fun, but I wish I would have had more fun. Yeah.
Man, well, Mark, it has been a tremendous pleasure to have you on the Ain't Done Yet podcast. Thank you so much for everything you're doing for the city and for like-minded artists and entrepreneurs for sharing your time and your wisdom with us. We really appreciate having you.
Yeah, honored to have you here, man. Thank you very much for the interview.
Space 2.0. Space 2.0 is coming to Las Vegas.
Yeah, visit thespacelv.com.
We'll put that up in the credits here.
Awesome. Credits. Yes. You guys are friends.
Right? Yeah, we're trying.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Really, yeah.
Thanks.
And click like and subscribe for the Ain't Done Yet podcast. Mark Shunock, again, thank you so much. Awesome.
See you next time.